If you paint pet portraits, you likely use black in every single portrait you do. I'm going to test out 6 different blacks today. There are so many black colors on the market that you could easily get overwhelmed and not know which one to pick. We are doing today's test on 140 pound Fabriano Studio 25% cotton cold press paper. You can find all the rest of the supplies that I love to use at paint333.com. I'm Jess and I teach watercolor artists the 333 method for watercolor painting, the 3 principles, the 3 properties, and the 3-step process. We're going to start with Payne's Gray. I'll often paint with water first and then lay down color. So that's how I'm going to test out all 6 of these black colors, but I'm also going to test them with my favorite brown gold color that I paint almost all of my gold or brown pet portraits with, quinacridone gold. Now, I am using American Journey quinacridone gold. I will be switching to either Daniel Smith or M. Graham now that Cheap Joe's has closed. And the Daniel Smith quinacridone gold, I know, is a different formula than this quinacridone. So I've written down the pigment codes of this quinacridone. You will likely, if you have a different brand, have some different pigments in your quinacridone. So just keep that in mind. So you can see that I'm already achieving some green. So if I was hoping to mix a darker gold with Payne's Gray, or even put Payne's Gray next to my quinacridone, I would be getting this green undertone. So that's the problem. I loved Payne's Gray though, because you can see how it's already granulating and it's a really dark black color, but it's also very blue. So I do know that the Payne's Gray I used here, which is M. Graham, is the same 2 color codes as the Daniel Smith version. So M. Graham and DS, same thing. Next, let's go ahead and test what I currently use, which is Neutral Tint. I currently use the American Journey Neutral Tint, but the good news is same color codes in the American Journey as in the Daniel Smith. Daniel Smith, American Journey, same thing. So I'm going to go ahead, paint it with water. I'm going to go ahead and put some Neutral Tint in there. And you can really see how dark that Neutral Tint is. And it doesn't have that blue undertone that Payne's Gray has. I really like Neutral Tint. And that's what I've been using ever since I switched from Payne's Gray a few years ago. So let's add that quinacridone gold. And you can see next to it, let's just see how it blends together here. I would say it's less green than Payne's Gray, but I'm still getting a greenish undertone using that Neutral Tint. I have been getting around that by adding Opera Pink to those mixes and as a buffer color. So if I'm trying to create a dark brown with these 2 colors, I'll just add Opera Pink and then it'll create a nice rich brown and negate that green. Or I'll put Opera Pink down as a buffer color between them if I don't want to create a dark brown, but I have an animal where the gold is right next to black. So now we're getting into colors, 3 colors I've never tried, and then another color that I have tried, but I honestly don't remember how it behaves. So now we're going to the Daniel Smith Lamp Black. It has one of the same pigments as the Neutral Tint, PBK6. So Neutral Tint has PBK6, but it also has 2 other pigments. So putting that down, I feel like it behaved very similarly to how my Neutral Tint does. Let's see how it behaves with my quinacridone gold. Now I'm wondering, seeing how this is also kind of green, if it could just be the quinacridone gold's fault for producing that green and not so much the black. But it's really behaving very similarly to my Neutral Tint. I like it a lot just from looking at what it's doing right now. Next is Daniel Smith Ivory Black, PBK9. So that has one of the same pigment codes as we find in the Payne's Gray. So this feels a little bit more gummy to me, like I'm having to work a little harder to release it from my brush onto the paper, and I'm having to use more paint. So it doesn't spread, it's not spreading as readily, and I'm kind of having to use more paint. I'm not sure what that PBK9 is, but it does feel a little bit gummy to me. It feels like this is something I would not be interested in using. Adding the quinacridone and mixing that a little bit. And we're still getting green. So just from this test, I would rule out Ivory Black. I don't like that gumminess that I was feeling when I laid that down. So now we're going to try Daniel Smith again, their Lunar Black. And this is a pigment called PBK11, which we have not found yet in any of our other blacks. Let's see how it spreads. It looks like a cool black to me, right from the get-go. And it feels more gummy, just like the Ivory Black does. So these two, just laying them down, felt a little gummy, felt like I had to work with it a little bit more. And you can really see, even though I put a lot of pigment down, it spread out, but it also got pretty muted. So adding a second layer, there we go, that helped. I can really see it granulating too, which is really pretty. It kind of feels like hematite genuine a little bit. Let's see how it does mixed with the quinacridone. That's a pretty brown, but it's also green. I'm getting greens more than browns. So testing this out, I really feel like, okay, it's probably my quinacridone gold, that the green is coming from that, more so than the black. We have one more outlier, PBK7, which is not found in any of the other blacks, but I did find it in the Qor brand of black, in the Qor brand of paint, their Carbon Black color. Really cool. It laid down very heavy, spread very well, which we would expect from Qor. It's a very high spreading paint. Let's see how it does mixed with my quinacridone. Very pigmented black. But again, I feel like it's pretty green. I was really excited to test these three black colors because I remember thinking that Neutral Tint only had a single pigment, and I was wrong. It actually has three. So I was really excited to try out these three single pigment blacks, as well as that Qor Black color too. And you can really see how different they all are, which is always surprising because it's the same color. But I was really hoping that I would be able to achieve something that isn't green, and I didn't get that with any of these tests. But I was very impressed with the Lamp Black. And maybe that's because it has the same pigment as the Neutral Tint. The Neutral Tint also has two other ones, and it's probably behaving in a way that I'm very used to. So I am not opposed to trying Lamp Black more often, but this test also did make me jump out and say, away with you, Neutral Tint, I'm going to Lamp Black. I really like my Neutral Tint. But I am going to try to do some more tests with Lamp Black because that performed in a really cool way. And I do like it that it's a single pigment, and I'm interested to see how it might blend with my other colors in the palette. Payne's Gray is a great color if you are looking for a bluish black. Ivory Black and Lunar Black were pretty gummy. They required me to work with them a little bit more than I would have liked. If you are used to working with more gummy type behaving watercolors, you might appreciate that. The Lunar Black really reminds me of Hematite Genuine. It just seems so granular, and you can really see that here. It's funny because it kind of went where I put it, but then also granulated out towards the entire area of water I laid down. Qor Carbon Black is a beautiful solid black, but it's spread like crazy. And it's also drying in kind of a funny way where it's already dry right here. Like where I put it, it pushed all the water away, and then the paint was able to dry really fast. And quinacridone gold is my only other color that I've noticed that does that. I'll put quinacridone into a wash, and it will push the water and any other pigment away and dry a lot faster than if I had done the exact same thing with a different color. So I hope this test helped you learn a little bit more about the black color options available to you, and maybe open your eyes to if there's a technique that you're trying to achieve with a certain color and it's not working, it very well could be the actual color that you're using and not so much your attempts at that technique. We can see with almost the exact same application of these 6 different colors how very differently they behaved and are looking as they dry. This test sheet is available as a PDF in the video's description. And I'll likely do another test similar to this with a different brand of quinacridone gold, especially now that American Journey won't be available. But in the meantime, I'm content using Opera Pink as a buffer color to still create those brown mixes that I like to have in my pet portraits. If you have a favorite black or favorite other color or a favorite way to even create a darker brown, please let me know in the comments. And if you want to see how I love to use neutral tint in a full paint along, make sure you check out the full version of this video that includes a full-length Dachshund paint along. I encourage you to subscribe and like this video if you found it helpful. That's it for today. Happy painting!